guys. We got Jeff Kerr in the green room. Jeff, what's going on, brother? Let's get to our main man, Jeff Kerr, joining us now here on Birds 365. We talk to Jeff every Monday here on Birds 365. You can follow him at Jeff Kerr CBS. Read him at cbssports.com. Jeff, I was at the Phillies game last night. It was a great game, and it was a hot game, but they look pretty good. Jeff, how you doing on this Monday morning, brother?
Yeah, I was there all weekend, Zander. I'm glad you got to see a great game. I'm glad a lot of Phillies fans got to see a great game, but, you know, there's a lot of naysayers when it comes to this baseball team. And
I'm not there yet, Jeff. It's June, brother. It's June, man.
Yeah, but that's what I said. That's what I said. It's June 21st. Like, calm down. There's a trade deadline. Organizations meeting this week.
And the other thing is, I mean, look, people, the bullpen or this. I'm like, find me a team in the major leagues that doesn't have one thing you can look at and say, well, that needs to be better to win a World Series. I mean, come on, they got some things, but I'll tell you this: when Luzardo is on, that guy can pitch. He's streaky, but when he's on, man, he's lights out.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, Zander, because I tweeted going into Sunday that, look, this is a big start for him tonight. You know, I know it's only June, but
yeah, I agree.
Like, the guy had like a 13 ERA his last 4 starts, and I know he was tipping pitches and this and that. But like you said, when he's on, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. And they were fortunate to get that last night. And it was funny because Friday I kind of knew what Sunday's lineup was going to be, and I wrote about it. People seem so shocked, like that was actually the lineup. And I'm like, do you guys just not pay attention, or do you not want to read? Because all the signs are there. Otto Kemp was going to play left field. All the signs are there. Buddy Kennedy was going to be first base. And people are just ripping Rob Thompson and ripping. You know what? I'm convinced.
Well, that's been going on forever, Jeff. You know,
ahead, John.
You know how, especially, you know, because, by the way, now we're June 23rd. So, you know, it's June both ways. The Phillies won a big series against the Mets. That's always important. But it's also June from that perspective. There's a long way to go. And there's 162 teams in baseball. That's been going on forever. When you rest guys and you got to, you know, typically Sunday. A lot of managers do it on Sunday. And they want to get their utility people in. They want to get somebody a breather, unless you're Cal Ripken. And yeah, people have been ripping managers forever for doing that. It's like, you can't just go and go and go. It's not football. You got to be measured as a baseball manager. Yeah, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating.
That's what's funny about it. Like, I try to tell people, stop treating this stuff like the Eagles. It's when you win, it's not, you know, it's the same thing when the loss. Like, stop treating it like an Eagles loss. Stop treating it like an Eagles win. You're not a smart fan when you do that. And people are like, well, that's great. They're 47-31. How are they going to do in October? I said, I don't know what to tell you. Don't watch till October. Be a front runner. Be whatever you want to be.
Yeah.
Just stay off the timeline.
Well, and Nick said it.
Playoffs and get hot in the playoffs. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
it's like anything. You know, Tyrese Halliburton, boy, that was pressing.
I didn't watch it, obviously, because I was at the Phillies game, but boom, man.
I mean, that's you're in a position, Game 7 in the NBA Finals, you're in a position, he was playing well early, and he tears his Achilles. You know, I mean, it's horrible, it's sad, it's all that stuff, but things happen in sports. And that's why we talk about, and Nick talks about sustained success, not repeat, not stuff like that, because the stars have to align to win a championship. They do. It's funny to me. Everybody in pro sports acknowledges luck plays a part into it, but they hate when you bring that word up. But they know it, but they don't want to downplay their grind and their process, which I get. But sometimes you're just at the mercy of bad luck. And that was bad luck last night for the Indiana. Perfect example of it. Now, did they win the game? Who knows? But it'll probably be more difficult for Oklahoma City. I'll say that.
That's one of the silliest debates I saw this morning when I was like catching up on the game. Is the Thunder's title, should it be an asterisk?
Oh, give me a break.
No,
what?
Come on.
No.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it obviously helped them win Game 7, but that's ridiculous.
It won 68 games. They're the best team in basketball.
Come on.
And you know what's funny? You know where it was coming from? The New York media market. As you know
Well,
what?
because they want to project that they're better than the Pacers and the
But they're
Knicks.
not. They never were.
No, they weren't.
They were frauds too. Oh, and by the way, the only reason they won against Boston, if they want to play that game, was because Jason Tatum tore his Achilles.
That's true. Well, not they were playing better than the Celtics.
Well,
I give them credit. They were beating the Celtics. I think Celtics. I'm surprised because I don't think I don't think they have a great coach, number one. But so if they're not playing well, if they don't hit their threes, that's what frustrates me about the NBA. Yeah, Oklahoma City made a bunch of threes in the third quarter. Bang, 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 bang. Game's over. Like, that's so boring to me. It's so boring to me. It's like, and then if you miss a bunch of threes like Boston did against, and because they constantly chuck up threes, and then you're screwed. You lose. I'm like, it's not a 3-point shooting contest, or it didn't used to be. Now it is.
That's all the game is now. It's funny, as someone who used to be a shooter in basketball, I've been waiting for the 3-pointer to become relevant, but it's become too relevant.
Way too relevant. Nobody can run a damn fast break. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's tough to watch. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's tough to watch sometimes for me. But,
and I like how two things about this series. Well, especially Game 7. I like how the NBA and their bad media likes to cover it up and say, well, no one cares about the Pacers and the Thunder because they're small market. I'm like, that's a bunch of BS. Your product is not good. Why don't you just call a spade a spade? And two, if I got to hear how great of a GM Sam Presti is for literally doing what Sam Hinkie and the Sixers did for years.
That I'm going to disagree with you.
No, they literally did the same thing. The NBA just let them do it.
They did it a lot better.
Yeah.
No, I mean, they were allowed to finish it. Silver didn't intervene. That's why I can't stand Silver.
Jeff Kerr, it's easy to rip something down. It's not easy to build something back up. Anybody can rip something down.
Baby.
The Sixers' developmental process has been horrible. When
you don't get the opportunity.
What do you mean they don't get the opportunity? They did it for years. That's the one thing about
they fired it. They literally forced the GM out halfway through the thing.
They did.
Yeah, I don't even know if it worked, and I don't think it was going to work.
It wasn't going to work.
That was my issue.
Here's the thing. And this is what all Sam Hinkie and his acolytes, and I've talked about Mike Gill for years, and he got me on a tangent, but the fact that he believed that he could do that open-ended for 8, 9, 10 years, whatever, until it worked is childish. I don't care if he was promised
and I agree with that.
I don't care if he's promised it. You have to have enough savvy to understand the weight of the public relations part of it, and the fact that the NBA commissioner had to step in and say, you're embarrassing this profession, you're embarrassing this league, is not a positive for the Sam Hinkie supporters. It's absurd that he had to step in.
But my issue is they allowed Presti to do it. That's what I don't understand.
They did not allow Presti to do it. They've allowed, and by the way, I don't agree with tanking at all. It's antithetical to sports in general, where you're supposed to, especially you're a youth coach. What do you teach your youth?
Yeah, I agree.
I teach them to win. See, I agree with John there. I wasn't all pro tanking, but I'm like, all right, let's see if this thing works. It did look like it wasn't going to, but again, never got to see the whole thing through, so I don't know.
Yeah. Now, I mean, professional sports are sports in its purest form, John. I would agree. You can't teach that. But when you add money, and
I do
business
believe
and all those
this
things,
is the problem.
Yeah,
I do believe this is the problem with the NBA. The fact that you even have to resort to tanking to kind of be relevant.
Well, you don't have to anymore. Presti, where was the MVP drafted? Where's SGA drafted?
He was drafted by the Clippers.
But what number?
What was he, 12?
About there.
Yeah.
The Boston Celtics never tanked.
They kind of did.
No, they didn't really.
They traded their assets.
He was the 11th overall pick, and he's developed into an MVP. Now, from the Sam Hinkie people, 11th pick in the NBA draft is not valuable. or was not at that time.
What
You can't find a great player at 11.
What bothers me about the Hinkie thing was, and again, Boston did the same thing the same time he did. But Boston had more of a reason to do it because their assets were a lot older. It was Pierce and Garnett. And the Nets are stupid. But you had Drew Holiday, who was a good player.
Yeah,
and was
damn
developing.
Right. By the way,
you had players.
But those morons, led by a certain moron on the radio, I got retweet Armageddon, whatever they did, the weirdos, because I covered the Sixers at that time. I covered Drew Holiday. I said, I think Drew Holiday has a chance to be a meaningful piece on a championship team. I thought he was a really good player,
were right.
great defender. To say I was right is he's won gold medals, he's won NBA championships. Where are they? Where are the retweet Armageddon people? And then you bring up
their narrative.
Yeah, Jalen Williams, who's their second best player on the Thunder, was the 12th.
Oh, he's
pick.
good.
12th pick. Again, you could actually draft people and develop people, and the Sixers have done it to a degree with Tyrese Maxey. Who knows with the young kid who got hurt last year, McCain? Is it McCain or McClain? I was good.
Yeah, Jared McCain. But by the way, he's pretty good.
He was good last year, but so many things. And by the way, I always point this out to Mike Gill. Nobody has hired Sam Hinkie. What does that tell you?
Do you think he was blackballed?
No, he's not blackballed. He's an idiot. He did a 13-page manifesto.
Now that was crazy.
Ripping the fucking people that let him lose for 5 years. And he did a 13-page manifesto. Anytime you see a lunatic in this country, what do they call it when they have their writings? They call it a manifesto. That's what they called Sam Hinkie's nutty, and he never got hired again. Well, I mean, that is your answer. He never got hired again.
J-Man, I did not know you were this much of a Sam Hinkie hater.
I've heard John in the Eagles locker room.
Oh, man.
It's very entertaining.
The fact that those people still exist and they still make excuses, it would have worked. Not with that idiot.
I think what bothers me about this whole, since we are on the Sixers tangent right now, and they do draft this week, by the way. Everybody can't stand Daryl Morey. I wish they would have had Daryl Morey in like 17 and 18 instead of now.
Well, because he does draft better than they drafted then. They had some awful.
That's why I actually have confidence they might get it right on Wednesday.
I mean,
I don't have much confidence.
As dumb as he was, but
I mean,
they did have some opportunity to draft good players that they just missed every time.
Yeah, well, and I don't even like to play that game because Jaleel Okafor, somebody like that.
Yeah, Okafor.
To me, I think the whole problem with Sam Hinkie is he did not believe that you could develop players. It was either you get the superstar or you don't. In the case of Joel Embiid, it worked to a certain degree. He's certainly a superstar. He's certainly a superstar talent, but he has all these other issues.
But that could be from the culture he was derived in.
Exactly.
He got here.
Exactly. The late, great Andy Jasner had told me, because I had stopped covering the Sixers by the time Hinkie got there, told me early in the process, he had a bunch of foot problems. He had a bunch of lower leg problems. Joel Embiid, I'm talking about. And he used to sort of not practice, but he used to shoot around with bare feet. And everybody was afraid to tell him, dude, what are you doing? It's like, how do you run an organization like that? So I don't believe for 1 second that they would have been successful if Adam Silver didn't step in, which a lot of people, and that, since then it's been a bad organization as well. But you see the reverberations in a negative fashion from Sam Hinkie still today. Culture, things like that. I don't know what's going on with Ace Bailey. You know,
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
Neither.
That's all I gotta say about it.
J-Mac, case closed. You just obliterated Sam Hinkie and did it successfully, I think.
You know, that's why I get so upset when people like, you know, when you cover the Phillies, everybody says they're a badly run organization. I'm like, first off, that's so far from the truth. I'm like, you want to see a badly run organization? I just want to point people to John and when he covered the Sixers.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, they were better. When Doug Collins was here, and you know, they had some good teams.
I was a big Doug Collins guy.
Me too.
When they had the run and they got lucky, you know, Derrick Rose got hurt, Joakim Noah got hurt, and they were able to beat a very good team in the playoffs, and they went to the, you know, they played, if you remember, they played the Celtics, who were a much better team. LaBoy Allen was
playing the 7 games. I was at game 6. I was like, wow, this team's going to take Boston 7 games. Like, they're going to have an opportunity. And it is funny, like, the Embiid team, that team played harder than Embiid and Harden did in Boston.
Oh, God, yeah. That was a fun team to cover. And then they made the Bonham trade. And it's funny because the last thing I did covering the NBA was the press conference at the Constitution Center. And everybody was really excited about Andrew Bonham, who was a great player. And he was just done from a physical standpoint. So, you know, that's probably more the medical staff's problem than the Sixers' problem. And once that didn't work, they just gave up. And it's like, ugh.
I felt so bad for Iguodala when he got traded because he put up with so much BS.
And there's another guy. He really did. And how many championships did he end up winning? But obviously, it was not. Yeah, it was not a star. He was not a number 1 star. But people got in this, and that's what I'd like. The only thing I like about the modern NBA is now these teams, Oklahoma City and Indiana, proved you don't have to tank to get a superstar. You can actually build a team.
Halliburton's 12.
Build a team.
I mean, look, if the Sixers would ever happen to win a title, people are going to be like, oh, Tyrese Maxey was 20. Jerry McCain was 16.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to look at that.
Yeah. And, you know, develop those guys. Continue to develop those guys. And stop trading for injured old players. And, you know, Embiid, you got to probably move on. I just
remember like a week into this season, and remember the Sixers season was a disaster. They asked Nurse like why he was playing McCain because, quite honestly, because he deserves it. Like he's developed, and they were confident. He didn't play opening night. He didn't play a second game, but played third game. He had like 20 points, and I don't think he ever rode the pine since until he got hurt.
But I guarantee, and unfortunately, it's going to happen in this lunatic country, but the next time some serial killer pops up, or that idiot in Minnesota who's assassinating politicians, they're all looking for manifestos. Every single one of them. And Sam Hinkie, can you give another example of an executive writing a 13-page letter?
Nope, I cannot.
It's absurd. Never got hired again. Yeah, that's the reason.
Not even Howard would write a 13-page manifesto when he gives it up.
Oh, he's not a dumb person. You know.
Now compare that to the way that the Eagles are run right now. It's like insane that those two teams are in the same city.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of that, since people are going to get mad, I'm glad. Good segue. Kendall Lamb, who is. And I'm trying to get the quote up because I didn't even see it. It was our buddy Alan Poupard in Miami because he used to play with the Dolphins, Kendall Lamb. And obviously he's a longtime veteran player. He's been in the NFL for a long time. So it's not just the Dolphins. So evidently he did an interview, which I didn't see. But it was with the ESPN. And he said, I understand why the Eagles reached 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. Players are never late, never toxic, And after every practice, the room spends 15 minutes sharing personal struggles to stay mentally sharp, something I never got with the Dolphins. Sometimes it takes somebody from outside to come inside, and it could be good, it could be bad, to highlight what's going on. That struck me as like, look at this. You know, you play in the NFL as long as Kendall Lamb, and you get to Philadelphia. You know, he started in 2015 in Houston. He's been to Cleveland, Tennessee, Detroit, Miami, now the Eagles.
He's been around.
Yeah. And he's saying that about the Eagles. I think that really highlights the strength of what Nick Sirianni has built here.
You know, John, it's funny. Teams could try to emulate that, but unless you're getting Nick Sirianni, it's probably not going to work.
I don't think he gets enough credit. I'll say that. And whatever he got, which I'm pretty sure he didn't get what Andy got, but he should be the highest paid coach in the NFL. But, you know, players are never late, never toxic.
It's like a Charlie Manuel Phillies vibe to it. Like, it's like he's got the simplest rules ever, but they work.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. And you know, but it's not something you can measure. So I think people dismiss it.
By the way, I found out something very interesting about the Philadelphia Eagles, what that pertains to Philadelphia Eagles that's going on this weekend. Jahai Campbell is going to play in Devontae Smith's softball game.
Yeah, he was doing some. I hope he doesn't hurt his shoulder.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh gosh, when is that softball game?
Saturday.
Oh, coming up. Wow, this weekend. All right.
Yeah, Ryan Howard's going to be playing.
Should be a hot one.
It's going to be a hot one. Saquon's going to be playing. It's going to be a fun time Saturday.
Did they ever figure out the credentials?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
We haven't.
You'll be there. I'm not making the trek down in town.
Yeah,
you'll be there.
I think Ed and I are both going to be there.
Yeah, I think Ed's going. Yeah, it's a good time though. If you're up that way. I remember when Carson did his softball game here at Citizens Bank Park. It was always a lot of fun. It's easier for me to get to Citizens Bank Park, so I would always go to that. That's where I learned that Jake Elliott was a hell of a softball player, and Richard Rodgers maybe was the best softball player in Eagles history.
I felt like he was on the Eagles a lot longer than he was.
Well, he was here like 3 times. They kept bringing him back. But he was a hell of a baseball player. AJ's a hell of a baseball player.
Yeah, he is. I don't think AJ's playing this year. They sent me the roster, but I don't remember seeing him on it.
I think Isaiah Rodgers won the home run derby last year.
Yeah, he'll be back. Right? Yeah, I'll be excited to talk to him. The funny thing is how bad Saquon is.
Yeah, he's not good.
He comes every year, and they make jokes about it, and yeah, I know Jalen's been very charismatic, to say the least, when it comes to Saquon Barkley's baseball skill. I still say the pieces were in place for him to come to Philadelphia long before they came to Philadelphia. And one of the reasons was that softball game.
Yeah, Mike will probably be there.
Mike is there every year. He loves it.
Yeah.
And like
maybe the pieces are in place.
Yeah. Mike is hilarious. Like he tells Eagles fans to boo him all the time. He said, "Y'all be cheering for." I remember he grabbed the mic one time because y'all be cheering for me. A few years, the Cowboys fans did not like that.
How quickly would this fan base turn if they got Micah Parsons?
Yeah, I just love how Micah just always drops like those funny things. Like he wears Phillies jerseys. He wears Sixers
that would be a
jerseys.
Turn for the century, though, John. That'd
be like the greatest wrestling turn of
Twitter
of
would be like
time.
A party for like a week.
Yeah.
It would be so funny to watch and read.
Yeah.
I'd be right there with him, so I'm not saying nothing. I would be pumped.
It's a shame too with Micah because he's going to get a bunch of contract questions on Saturday. If people get the talk, I don't think he's going to make himself available.
I think he's a great player. I still don't think he's generational. You two both tell me he's generational. I still don't think he's generational, but I do think he's a damn.
Well, I don't like that. I don't think I've used that term because I hate that term. Generational. To me, it means once in a generation. Well, it should mean. But
Yeah,
I've
great.
acknowledged he's like when the Eagles talk about him, they're in awe of him. So when that holds a lot of weight with me. Like I always said, Nick says, think about the Eagles' offensive line, and what Nick Sirianni says about Micah Parsons. If you can't block them, read them, which means they can't block them, so they read them, and they can't block them with Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata.
Lane loves to talk about Michael Parsons too.
Yeah,
Get him down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, Lane, acknowledges how good he is. But yeah, he's a great player, and Eagles fans would be very, very excited if they got to see him play on a weekly basis.
Like honestly, that would be kind of like T.O. coming here. I think when T.O. came here, it'd have that impact.
Definitely have a big impact. You wouldn't be talking about edge rusher. I guarantee you that.
I still say to this day, I don't think I've ever seen a player come here. And AJ, keep in mind, AJ Brown's been really good here. But outside of Saquon, I don't think there's been like that hype of an impact since T.O. Like, even when Saquon was here, people were skeptic.
You're talking about flashiness? Because I think AJ is better than T.O. How about that?
I do too.
Wow.
I do too, in a sense. I do. Like, but
I'm going to need you to elaborate on that one a little bit more. You, from a skill set standpoint, what are you looking at there, John, with T.O.
From
versus
everything. One thing about T.O., who's a phenomenal player, Hall of Fame player, don't get me wrong. But I think
should be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but
AJ's on that trajectory. I don't care about first ballot, second ballot, but sometimes there's a log jam with football. Sometimes, so he made a big thing about that. He's a Hall of Fame player. To me, that's all that matters. But, he dropped the football quite a bit.
He always had drop problems.
Yeah. AJ doesn't drop the damn football. AJ's better. Now, again, these things don't matter, but AJ's a better blocker. He's a better teammate.
Speaking of T.O. drop problems, I was watching Eagles Cowboys from 06 a couple of weeks ago. And I remember T.O. didn't have a catch in the first half. And like Bledsoe targets him. It's just an easy slant. And I don't know if T.O. heard footsteps or what, because Dawkins was coming. And he just straight up dropped it. Like basic pass.
Well, and to be fair, I mean, you could do that. You can't do that now. So it's a little bit easier for receivers now. They don't have to worry about as many footsteps.
Yeah.
But hey, he dropped the ball quite a bit.
I think he led the league in drops once.
AJ doesn't drop the football. I'm just saying. I think a lot of people don't recognize that, but I think he's better.
Zander's probably still too young for this, but I just remember the Eagles were so bad at wide receiver for so many years.
Well, and that's part of it too. They were so bad.
And then they got him. Yeah.
The same thing happened with Devontae and AJ this time.
Yeah.
Devontae first, but
that just sort of like naturally grew over the years though. Like you drafted Devontae and then you got AJ, and all of a sudden, like you got the best wide receiver doing the NFL, essentially.
Yeah. And he's still got, he's still young. He's still got, T.O. did it for a long time. So longevity comes into it. But I'm saying he's on a Hall of Fame trajectory. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah,
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown has about 4 or 5 more years of this, which he probably will.
I mean, when all is said and done, I think people are going to recognize it.
I mean, AJ Brown's really good. I mean, and I think it's fair if we listed top 5 receivers in football. He's in that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, PFF had him number 1.
Well, you don't drop the football, like you said.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you give me the top 3 guys. Jeff, you could take your pick. I'm happy with the other guy. John, take your pick. I'm happy with the other. That's how I feel with the top 3.
That's how I am.
Yeah, I mean, Jefferson, Chase, AJ. Yeah. I'm good with any of them. I mean, come on. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with people who think Chase is the best receiver in football. I'm not going to argue people who think Jefferson is. But I'm not going to argue people who think Brown is. I mean, they're all, to me, that's all that matters. They're all in the conversation. And then it's about, all right, what's your favorite flavor?
Yeah, vanilla, chocolate, or strawberry.
Yeah.
Or if you want to go crazy, what's mint chocolate chip?
Speaking of, we were doing that last week, Jeff. I don't think we asked you. What's your biggest, if you do positional groups, give me the best position group on this team and the worst position group on this team.
That's a good question. There are lots.
I think best is easy, but that's me.
Well, are we being specific with tackles, or are we going offensive line?
No, offensive line.
Yeah, okay, then I'll say offensive line.
Yeah.
Like I know we were going specific with worst. Oh man.
This is interesting.
Pass rusher?
Yeah, I would say
that's where I went, Jeff.
I don't disagree. By the way,
I most go edge rusher, but I think they have more upside at edge rusher. Not that it's great, but I think there's more options.
On paper, it doesn't look sexy.
Yeah. Safety, though, I'm a little concerned with safety. I'm a little concerned. Outside Reed, I have no concerns over Reed Blankenship.
They're putting a lot of stock in Makuba.
A lot of stock.
I'm not crazy
64th pick in the draft, Jeff. Is that too much to expect?
Yes, I do.
I mean, I would say, is it too much stock? But there's so many. There's still guys on the market. So if you get to camp and Makuba stinks, Sidney Brown stinks, they're going to go and sign Justin Simmons. And if they do sign Justin Simmons,
they probably should sign Justin Simmons.
Know exactly what Fangio thought of the two guys at training camp. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory.
I mean, honestly, they probably should sign Justin Simmons before training camp. Just to have him compete.
Well, I think they want to see if the guys they feel like the guys are going to be good enough to play. I mean, I don't want to rush to a 32-year-old.
Yeah, the problem is signing him now is you're almost highlighting, all right, he's going to be the starter. I don't like that. I do want them to have the opportunity, and it's a little bit of a gamble because at some point Simmons might say, all right, I got to sign somewhere else, and he might lose out. But I'm not just bringing them in to bring them in. I need to see if these guys can play.
It's funny. I like Andrew Makuba too. I think he's part of the problem with draft Twitter and the draft people. And it's not just Andrew Makuba. It's like this is around the league. People love to overhype rookies.
Oh yeah.
To the upteenth degree to prove that they're right. I'm like, Andrew Makuba may be a good player in 3 years. That doesn't mean he's going to be a good player in 2025.
Well, again, and last year I think Quinyon and Cooper broke people a little bit. Like, all right, well they did it, so why can't
this guy
so-and-so do it?
We've had multiple years than just Quinyon and Cooper. I know they're both secondary players, but Devontae Smith had almost 1,000 yards year one. Jalen Carter, obviously, what he was. Now you had the Nolan Smiths, you had Jordan Davises, but there has been a lot of players that hit early in Philly.
But I mean, Davis was a fine contributor his rookie year. He wasn't.
Yeah.
No, that's what I mean though. Every guy that we've picked in the first 2 rounds.
Well, to me,
like everybody's an impact.
Carter and Devontae were top 10 picks.
Sure, way different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andrew Makuba 64.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got Landon Dickerson. You got who's the guy that we just talked about was taken at the top of the second, not Landon, John, that we compared to Makuba a little bit. Juergens, maybe. Juergens was taken. Cooper DeJean was taken at the top of the second round.
Yeah, they traded up to get Cooper was 40, I think.
Yeah, Cooper was 40.
Yeah,
but a lot of those guys you mentioned too, like Landon was probably going to be a first-round pick.
Yeah, he was going to be a first.
He was, but he wasn't.
For some reason, Cooper wasn't. I still can't fathom that one, but it is what it is.
I think that was more the way the board fell than anything, but
I think it was too. It was just one of those.
I mean, you guys remember we were part of the conversation pre-draft was, if Quinyon and all the corners are gone, we'd all be happy with Cooper DeJean at 22.
Ended up getting
23. Yeah, we ended up getting both.
I think the Eagles would have been happy, to be honest. But yeah, with Cooper, I think part of it is that and part of it still today, nobody believes he can be an outside corner. And we all know why.
For multiple reasons.
Yeah. Well, really one reason. And as silly as it sounds, Yeah, I mean, that stuff's real. And cost a lot of teams because he's a hell of a football player. I'm a little concerned about his offseason. I'll be honest with that. He's
He's in the spotlight a little too much.
a little too much. You don't have to go to every bar, Cooper.
Yeah, he's been. Let me tell you, Cooper DeJean. He's 22, John.
I-
Guys,
I-
living it up.
I know.
I feel
know.
like the guy can't say no. That's what I think it is.
Well, I think he went to Iowa for college. I don't know how much fun. I'm sure they have some fun in Iowa.
Oh, they
but I
have
think he
fun in
comes
Iowa. Trust me.
He comes
they
in a
have
big
fun.
city, Philly, though, John. He's a star, John. Being a star in Iowa.
He's a bigger star in Iowa than he is here, and
Yeah,
he's a
but
big
what's the
star here.
magnitude? How's the magnitude of that? It's
Well,
like a
sometimes being a big fish in the small pond.
That's true. It's like a Cat 1 hurricane out there, though. Over here, it's like Cat 5 or whatever the top one is.
I have to laugh like with him and Reed and their exciting mics, whatever it is. And I was just like, another podcast? Like, other people like just listen to podcasts all day long.
Well, here we are, Jeff, 5 years deep on Birds 365 talking football in June, brother. I mean, I'm not one to crap on people listening to podcasts.
I'm just telling you, I can't do it. Like, I don't know how these content creators just listen to podcasts
Really? I
all
listen
day
to
long.
a lot of content. I do listen. I don't listen to a lot of sports content because I make so much sports content. And
yeah, well, you're in the business though.
Yeah, right. So, but I do listen to a lot of content.
I had to look it up because I was the old relative athletic score from Kent Lee Platts. So the math bomb guy, Cooper DeJean, ranked 28th out of 2,469 cornerbacks drafted from 1987 to 2024.
And he wasn't a first round pick.
On an athleticism scale, and a trait scale. And the only thing he didn't do to a ridiculously high level was the bench press, which he did 16, which is still decent for a defensive back. And his broad jump was above average, not phenomenal. Everything else just off the charts. And everybody's seen his basketball highlights.
No, he's really good at that too.
Yeah. Like, how could you say that guy's not explosive? But people don't believe he can play outside corner.
Jason Sehorn could.
Yeah.
And he's probably better than him, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Well, I know the Eagles like him.
It's all that matters.
Yeah.
It's last year, John, I think you and I talked about this. Like, you could see Cooper DeJean was going to help this team this year in a big way, or last year. I don't get that feeling with Andrew McCouba. I don't know.
I don't either, Jeff. I'm with you. I'm not going to lie to people.
I like McCouba, but
do you like him at 25? I think that's where I'm going with this.
And right now, Jeff, you're not wrong to bring that up because it's between him or Brown, Sidney Brown, to be the starter. Next to Reed Blankenship.
I think the Red Star is waned on Sidney Brown.
Well, don't count out Tristan. Vic brought him up.
Yep. You know
what?
He did play him last year.
I wouldn't be shocked if it was Tristan.
I wouldn't either.
I like Tristan too.
Last year, when Vic needed a safety, he went to Tristan McCullum. Now, I know Sidney was this or he had an injury or whatever. That's what he went to. Now, I don't know. Make of that what you will, but I think that means something.
Well, I did know that Sidney was not healthy. So he did, but part of the reason why, and Vic, by the way, said it when he talked to us. I can try to pull up his quote about Sidney Brown. But he was not like, I think people assume like every rehab goes the exact same way. Like, he didn't have a great rehab. So you can blame that on the surgery, whatever.
Because it was a pretty nasty injury too.
Yeah, because he's a great athlete. Like, nobody's questioning Sidney Brown's athleticism. So he's not like the type of guy that's going to struggle with rehab unless there's something going on physically. And I think, by the way, he had a cleanup surgery after he had 2 surgeries. So something went wrong.
And he said the second one was a definite setback.
So I think a lot of people don't realize that. So here's what Vic said. Well, his experience came in 2023, not 2024. Last year at this time, he wasn't doing anything and didn't do anything really until the middle of October. And we all know with Vic, a hamstring injury in training camp set Cooper back 6 weeks. So he lost all this time of year, training camp, early part of the season, never really got many reps with us defensively. He did play in the last game against the Giants and did fine, but it's a new system that he had in 2023. It is and it isn't, but it is.
And he was the centerpiece of the fight against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
That's where you're
So yes, he's sitting in meetings, but that only goes so far. You've got to get out there and experience and build on it. And he lost that last year, so he's going through that process now, and he's doing fine. So I wouldn't say it was a stamp of approval, but he also kind of intimated what I've been saying here. He was not healthy last year, and maybe he would have picked Tristan McMullen anyway, because I don't know if he's a fit for what Vic likes to do, but the health was a big part of it. Big part of it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm not.
Well, what do you think his long term is here then? Do you guys think Sidney Brown is, because I was thinking about this, and me and John were talking about paying Reed Blankenship last week. Jeff just had a Reed Blankenship segment, and I'm like, are we thinking about this wrong? Are they looking at Sidney Brown and Makuba as the future, and they're not going to pay Reed? I mean, let's be real. I love Reed, but they do have a lot of guys to pay on defense that are probably better than Reed. I know Reed is a big impact and an important part of the defense, but I wondered if we're looking at it wrong. Maybe it's Sidney and Drew in the future.
And they have shown their reluctance to pay safeties.
Yeah.
I mean, they paid one.
They just traded Gardner Johnson's contract by all means was a very cost-effective, team-friendly deal.
By the way, some Eagles fans did not like I put C.J. Gardner-Johnson on my quarter-century team.
I don't think I like that either. What do you mean you put him on your quarter-century team?
Can you name me 4 better safeties that
for the Eagles? For the Eagles
since 2000.
Okay.
Yeah. For the Eagles.
I for a second there, I thought you were talking about like a NFL quarter-century team. What the actual hell are you talking about? No, all right. Yeah, probably. I mean,
Dawkins.
Who'd you have?
It was Dawkins. See, I gotta remember who I had.
Dawkins, Malcolm.
Yeah, Dawkins, Malcolm were the obvious 2. CJ. Who else did I put on there? Oh, Rodney McLeod.
I think Rodney McLeod I like.
Yeah, it was CJ's better than Rodney.
Yeah, I know he's better than Rodney. Yeah,
Rodney's Rodney.
But I put Rodney on there because Rodney did have a lot of really good years here.
Yeah, he did. He's a very good player. But certainly a better teammate, I would say. Certainly not a headache, but
this wasn't the all headache team because D.O. made it. So
yeah, I mean, CJ, I mean, you got to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy played here 2 years that he had 12 interceptions. He led the league the first time and he missed 5 games. Tied for the league lead. They won 2 NFC championships and a Super Bowl. Now, I'm not going to, obviously, he likes to point to that and say he's the reason why. He's not the reason they won the Super Bowl.
Not the reason, but he definitely helped.
Yeah, he definitely helped.
Quentin Michael was my other one, by the way. I did a duel with Quentin Michael because he was really good at special teams here.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to look.
That's not that egregious that you put him on there.
No, but people.
If someone went another direction, I could see it, but it doesn't bother me.
I didn't argue with too many people on this one. I omitted Goddard. I put Chad Lewis on there instead of him, and people were like, "How can you do that? Chad Lewis wasn't even good." I'm like, you probably don't even remember when Chad Lewis played here. He literally was the only not wide receiver, the only pass catcher Donovan McNabb had for like 4 years. It was bad.
What do you think McNabb would be with this receiving corps?
An all-pro.
An offensive line.
Pretty much like he'd be everything he was and more. Like people don't realize like Donovan McNabb played with absolute shit for a lot of
shit.
Like
I'm
like,
I love McNabb, but I'm not like a McNabb defender to the day. I'm not like that type of guy. He did not.
Well, yeah. Like McNabb's best years, they had nothing, and then he got T.O. But again, because T.O. manipulated everybody to think like, oh, I tried really hard. T.O., you came back for one person. You.
Yeah, but isn't there an art to being able to handle that Donovan failed?
Well,
no,
Donovan failed. Donovan failed too. Like that's what
Jalen. But how would Donovan have handled what Saquon did last year?
With Donovan, I don't think Donovan would have cared that much.
I don't know. That's where I think Jalen is a special.
Donovan couldn't carry Jalen's shot.
2903, and everybody's gonna, whatever. Say it. I'm carried. I don't care. Just win the game. Just win win. Let's go and win the Super Bowl. I don't know if McNabb would do that.
Donovan's biggest issue was I don't think he stepped up for his teammates as much as he probably should have. And I think he should have stepped up for T.O.
Well, that's why I give Nick Sirianni so much credit. Like, you got a lot of superstars on this team. And occasionally you see it with AJ, and there's some angst. But for the most part, like, everybody's in line. Nobody's toxic. Like Kendall Lamb said. And you saw it. I mean, those were very good teams. I think Donovan McNabb, when you consider his impact on the game as well, and I've said this with Randall Cunningham too, he's a borderline Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
That's how good he was.
I mean, Donovan finished second MVP voting. Everybody goes, Jalen was a runner-up. I'm like, so was Donovan.
Yeah, he's a very good player. If he won one, he's probably a Hall of Famer. But you know how I feel about that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if he wins a Super Bowl, he's probably a Hall of Famer.
Well, that's what I mean. If he wins one, he's a Hall of Famer. To me, it shouldn't matter. If you're a Hall of Famer, you're a Hall of Famer.
Exactly.
And his impact on the game as well, more so Randall, but Donovan in the same conversation about changing and how the quarterback position is played now versus how it was played previously.
They forced Donovan to throw. I think today it'd be very encouraged for Donovan. Hey, buddy, you just ran for 600 yards in the season. Why don't you keep doing it? You don't need to gain this weight.
Exactly.
It sucks. I always hated it.
So, but yeah, I don't think he was the leader that Jalen Hurts is. But I don't think there's few people that are, to be honest.
Yeah, Jalen was kind of groomed in that. Like Donovan always had to carry a team.
It's a big thing, though. I mean, that goes a long way, being able to lead like the way Jalen.
But you got to remember, the football was a lot different 25 years ago. Like the quarterback was always the guy, and it didn't matter if you were a leader or not. You were the guy, and for years that was Donovan's team. It just was, and he made sure of that.
They made the playoffs in 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 6.
And they went deep in the playoffs a lot of years.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of consistency.
Yeah. I still say the big divide was I don't think T.O. really likes that Donovan said the whole I'm captain of the ship, trying to rally his team when they lost T.O. I'm captain of the ship. We're good enough to get there. And if he comes back, great. Like, that's pretty much what he said.
What are you supposed to? Well, that's like CJ. When Slay says, well, Reed's the leader because he calls the signals and gets everybody lined up, and Vic already said it, and he gets upset by that.
Yeah.
Well, that's CJ's problem. I mean, it's reality. What do you expect the quarterback to say when you're playing? What do you expect people to say? Oh, woe is me. We don't have T.O. No. What does the quarterback say?
We're gonna right.
Yeah. And I could go through that 05 off season like there's no tomorrow. I got really, really upset. And it ended up being true, but you still get really, you don't say that. I wasn't the one who threw up in the Super Bowl. You do not say that, period. I don't care. Like, that's not a good teammate. I'm sorry. You just don't call out your quarterback like that.
A lot of guys throw up, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, in Jacksonville. McGatt threw up in Jacksonville long before that. He threw up in Jacksonville in 2002. People forget that.
I covered Robert Smith. He would throw up every week.
Yeah. And I think that pushed Donovan over the edge. He goes, well, now I ain't helping you.
Remember when Mekhi Becton threw up in training camp last year?
Yeah. We're like, and remember,
most
he got mad when we asked him about it.
Yeah, most people forget because he went on to have a great season. Like, who cares?
Exactly. It's like, okay, so he threw up, you know.
Some people have weak stomachs and they throw up all the time.
Didn't have a great Super Bowl. Well, guess what? Near to Brian Dawkins. Brian Dawkins missed a lot of tackles in that Super Bowl. He was not in position a lot. People don't want to admit that. Hugh Douglas was older, did not have a good Super Bowl. A lot of great players on that team did not have a good Super Bowl. T.O. did. So T.O. liked to use that. Oh, I had a great Super Bowl. I was on one leg.
I'm telling you, I say it all the time. Jim Schwartz is still pissed off about Super Bowl 52.
Yeah. And there were a lot of memorable moments for that defense in that Super Bowl, but there were a lot of misreads and a lot of blown coverage assignments.
Yeah. The only difference between 52 and 57 is the Eagles won.
Yep.
You know, arguably the 52 defense was worse than the 57 defense in the game.
It's kind of crazy to think about. In the Eagles' last 3 Super Bowls, they scored 41, 35, and 40. That's nuts.
The difference, though, in the defense, John, was that the defense, as bad as they were, giving up 500 yards, they made the play.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's it. And if CJ or Slay makes a play at the end, same thing. So it changes the whole thing.
I mean,
changes the whole thing. That's why I bring up the Matthew Stafford play. Changes the whole off season.
Yep.
We don't even talk about what we'd be talking about every day if Jalen Carter doesn't get home on that play. We'd be talking about it every single day of this offseason.
You know, there are some people that still talk
and now we never talk about it.
It's true.
There are some people that still talk about Jalen Hurts' fumble from a Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Which didn't matter.
Yeah. Which
Kansas City, it might have, because they thought that was the difference. But that's
I don't say they lost.
But I'll say this too.
Hurts, but anytime you make a swing of, what was that, a 14-point swing or a 10-point swing? Because the Eagles were charging.
Well, they were driving.
Well, I'll say this too, and I've noticed this.
I've noticed a big play in the game, but you had 2+ quarters to play.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well, yeah, but that's still.
Well, I'm talking about the match people who say,
right. It wasn't like a final minute play where it iced the game. No, not at all.
I'll just say this too, for like this, because there's so many Jalen Hurts detractors out there. I don't see a lot of that out of Kansas City. I think they respect the hell out of that guy.
Oh yeah,
it's the fan base that don't have those champions.
Well, I don't think there's many people in the league that disrespect Jalen Hurts. There might be fans.
Oh, fans do. Well, fans are idiots. They're idiots, and they are.
I mean,
have you ever had a Birds 365 segment where you didn't absolutely obliterate fans?
Well, fans.
John loves it. John's favorite thing.
They need to be smarter. I'm serious. Like social media has made them dumber. They really have.
Well, no, social media is just giving a voice to the dumb.
I love Eagles fans. I love how passionate they are. I grew up as one, but I'm very realistic. Like, I'm at the Phillies game last night, and I'm literally hearing the stupidest comments from the stupidest people. I'm like, I turned around and I said, shut up and watch the game. Yeah. My God. No one cares.
Jeff takes some of the heat off of me. I mean, it is that, if you're a fan and you think Jalen Hurts stinks, you're a stupid fan, as Jeff just said.
Eagles fans don't think he's stupid, but there are a lot of fans that think he stinks.
There are some. Obviously, there's very few in Philadelphia. And in the case of now, they don't think there's a group that thinks it's blasphemy to impart any constructive criticism, which is absurd as well.
That's absurd of any human being anywhere.
Well, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So it goes both ways, but the fans outside of Philadelphia who are just jealous of the Eagles' success.
Yeah, that's what they like to do. I'm like, did you say the same about Kurt Warner?
Like, all you got to do is listen to Spags talk about him. It's like we did everything right, and then he's gashing you on the ground. It's like, what do you do?
Yeah, he ran for 72 yards in the Super Bowl after he ran for 70 in the first one.
Yeah. So I think
but by definition, like, what's a fan? A fanatic, a fan of fan.
Fan is short. Fan is short.
Right. I mean, I think you guys just have a problem with people being fanatics.
I just want people to be rational.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's fine. That's what a fan is, Jeff. Like, some fans are different than others. I agree.
Perfect example. Watching Phillies Mets from the stands last night, right? There's a Mets fan there. When Sosa got picked off second, this is the first thing that comes out of the guy's mouth. You only hear, caught in napping. And I'm like, he wasn't caught napping. Why don't you actually give credit to your pitcher for having a good pickoff move?
That was a good pickoff, dude. That was
well, that's what I said. Like, why do you have to go like this route? Like, you could have said, "Oh, what an awesome move by Peterson," because it was.
Yeah,
you can't even give your own team that you root for credit for doing something good.
By the way, that was a bomb by Sosa later.
Let's be honest. Most people don't know what they're watching.
Well, that's the issue. They don't know what they're watching.
And football, it's even worse because football is kind of complicated, at least compared to baseball or
baseball's simple. Like, it's not hard to learn.
But still,
I love baseball. I think baseball is the most pure sport. I don't know. I just love. I don't know if it's maybe going to the game. I love going to the games. Like, if you'd give me one sport to go to,
well, it's fun. It's fun when it's a nice day, and
last night was hot.
I feel like baseball too.
Jeff, I had an aisle seat right up third base, right behind the pitcher, section 126. I had my peanuts, my Cracker Jack. I was.
You were loving life on.
I was loving life. I was being a fan. That I was being a fan.
But that's what the football. I will say this about baseball: people are a lot more civil at baseball games. They just are.
Not in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Not in the playoffs.
No, not in the playoffs.
No, not in the playoffs.
The bank in the playoffs is a fun place, though.
I always told people a rule, like, I don't care if you wear a post, whatever. You cheer for your team, but if I hear you say something stupid about my team, like Isaiah Hartenstein is better, Joel Embiid, you are going to get it. You will get blasted by me for 4 quarters on how stupid you sound.
Well, I'm not going to compare them as players, but the fact that Isaiah Hartenstein, is it Steen or Stein?
It's
whatever.
It's Stein.
Was able to do the things he was able to do when he was on the Knicks against Joel Embiid should be embarrassing for Joel Embiid. That's what I would say.
Well, that's what I said too. But the fact that you're saying this like in the first quarter of the game when Joel Embiid just dunked on him, like, I'm like, all right.
Fundamentally, he should look at Isaiah Hartenstein and learn from Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yeah, Zander, you know what my favorite last night was? The Phillies had their JV lineup out because fans couldn't squander the fact that Buddy Kennedy's playing in a big game in June. I'm like, shut up. It's not a big game. I'm like, to these players, it's not a big game at all. Like, the running joke on Friday was all the media was there, and like I'm just talking to a couple of players. I'm like, do you guys even know you're playing tonight? Like, they do.
Ed Kratz.
I know what you're saying, yeah.
Ed is like Vic Fangio. He's a big Phillies fan, and he lives and dies with the Phillies. He loves Otto Kemp. It's like, what are we talking about here?
Otto Kemp is the greatest player of all time, according to Ed Kratz.
He's a great story. What do you mean? That's a great story.
Isn't he going back to freaking Lehigh when a real star comes back?
He will not be going back. That's why he's in left field.
Oh, you guys are downplaying the fan element of sports. I mean, that's being a fan. There's no ration, there's not supposed to be too much logic. It's being a fan.
Well, then that's fine. Don't act like you know what you're talking about when you're coming at Jeff Kerr about a baseball team.
Yeah. That's fine. That's
fine.
That's
fine.
That's what I said, Jeff. Social media gave a voice to everybody.
No, you don't have to respond to when I'm telling you the truth. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm not going to blow up freaking Otto Kemp just like I don't blow up an Eagle. You're believe me, when Bryce Harper's back, you're gonna like Bryce Harper. That's who you're gonna like.
Who do you like an Otto Kemp to, John? A Nick Muse?
No, well, he's playing. I don't know if Nick Muse will even make the team, so I guess he's out.
So bad comp.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Otto Kemp's a little better than Nick Muse.
Jeff's a better because he covers the Phillies. Give me an Eagles comparison for Otto Kemp.
Yeah, that's good. So I'll go regular starter here. How about Jordan Davis?
Well, I would say not go starter. That's where I would start.
Jordan Davis was a 13th overall draft pick.
How about Ty Robinson? How about that?
Yeah, we can go Ty Robinson.
Because Eagles fans love Ty Robinson because he looks like
I'm just telling you that
the
Phillies are doing whatever they can to make sure Otto Kemp's bat stays in that lineup. That's what
bat. What bat?
Put me in the Ed Pratt's room, Johnny Mac. I like Otto Kemp.
What is Otto Kemp doing?
Doing better than what the guy was replacing.
Baseball's a long season. That's a great story here in June right now.
What is the great story? Season. Honestly, I don't know.
Undrafted Division II player, just kept hitting throughout the minors. Is a student of or as Rob Thompson calls him, a baseball player. That's the running joke.
He's like the TJ McConnell of.
He's pretty much TJ McConnell's a really good comp. Yeah, I like that.
All right,
TJ McConnell.
All right,
better than your Jordan Davis comp, Jeff. That was terrible.
Jordan Davis is a starter. Otto Kemp's a starter. That's
but Jordan Davis was a 13th overall pick from a Power 5 school into the NFL. That guy was not.
What does that tell you about Jordan Davis and him? I made a comparison.
He's got to play a little better to live up to the.
That is an incredible insult to Jordan Davis, by the way.
Yeah, I'll have to apologize to him when I told him I compared him to Otto Kemp. By the way, I have a fun story about a certain star on the Eagles and a certain star on the Phillies where their paths have collided.
By the way, Otto Kemp is hitting 260, hasn't hit a home run yet. What the hell are we talking about?
Rob Thompson says his power's coming. That's what he tells me.
John, would you think you were going to look up and see Shohei Ohtani stats? I mean, come on.
No, I thought maybe he had a couple home runs.
He had 14 in AAA.
I mean, let's hit one.
Rob Thompson literally said to my face, Otto Kemp is doing exactly what they want him to do.
Sometimes coaches blow smoke up your ass, and you got to.
Oh, he does. He's a bad liar.
Come on,
Thompson's blowing a lot of smoke on that for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm just telling you, I just have to go by what he says. Whether I
agree
with
it. He's a left fielder on a first place club. How about that?
He's played 8 career games in left field, ever, including the minors.
There we go.
By the way, so this is my baseball Phillies Eagles comparison story. You guys know AJ Brown and Jesus Luzardo once faced each other?
Really? Is that right? Baseball? That's a great story.
Yeah.
By the way, who's better, AJ Brown or Otto Kemp?
It might be AJ Brown. AJ Brown was actually drafted.
I bet baseball.
That's what I'm saying. AJ Brown was actually drafted to play baseball.
I know. I know.
It's probably
AJ Brown was an All-American. How do you think he played against AJ?
I feel like AJ would have been great in the MLB. I bet.
Yeah.
I've asked Jesus about it. I want to get AJ Brown's side of the story now because that's going to be a good story. Because I know what happened. I'm not going to say it.
Poor
John's least favorite movie of all time is Rudy.
Poor Otto is taking.
Rudy was offside.
I apologize. Well, Rudy's full of shit. That whole story. I don't even. By the way, he got in some legal trouble?
Yeah, he did.
I don't know anything about it other than the movie.
Yeah, the movie's made up.
I can't stand Notre Dame, so I don't watch Rudy.
Yeah, the movie's made up, but that's Hollywood. There's nothing wrong with it. But yeah, for people that think that actually happened, it didn't.
We need John McMullen's top.
They made Dan Devine look like the biggest asshole in the world. By the way, who went on to coach the Green Bay Packers, was a good coach. They made him out to be the worst human being in the world.
Yeah,
poor Dan. Talk about taking strays.
Well, Moneyball did the same thing with Art Howe.
That's true.
Art Howe was not like.
Now I love Moneyball. I love that.
I do too.
Yeah,
I quote Moneyball all the time.
That's a good movie. I like that movie.
You know what? John's favorite quote in Moneyball probably is when he tells off David Justice.
Well, the only issue I have with Moneyball for the actual reality of the situation, they never mentioned the A's pitching, which was phenomenal.
Or that they had the MVP of the league that year.
Yeah. They never mention it. It's all Scott Hatteberg.
Yeah. Who's the other one that they like to mention? It's Scott Hatterberg. It's Chad Bradford. There's another one.
Oh yeah, the goofy Chad Bradford.
There's
pitching
sidearms.
lesson. Yeah, but it's a good movie. It's a really good movie.
It's very entertaining. By the way, Xander, you excited to see F1 this weekend? The movie.
Where is it this weekend?
The movie, but Brad Pitt.
Is that
comes
that
out
released
this
weekend?
Yeah,
Wow,
it
I
comes
didn't
out
know
this
that.
weekend.
I don't follow that as much.
I heard it's
I'll
pretty
definitely
good.
watching the movie. Yeah, I'll definitely be watching it.
Yeah, I heard it's
I've
pretty
been
good.
following the F1 season this year. McLaren's just cooking.
Yeah, they're smoking.
Yeah.
The NASCAR race was pretty good yesterday. I got to watch it today, but
Jeff's a big NASCAR guy.
I am.
Yeah, we got one of our great viewers is works for NASCAR. I told you that, Jeff, right? Yeah.
Yeah. We were laughing about because we interviewed Stenhouse at the Phillies game last week, and no one asked about Carson Hocevar, and he gets into it with Carson Hocevar again last Sunday, and Stenhouse thought he was going to beat his ass or something when he got back to the States because they were in Mexico City. I'm like, what a quote.
Yeah, I'm not. F1 really took off. I think it's from that Netflix series.
It is. It is. And by the way,
I think it petered off a little bit in America, though. It plateaued a little, not plateaued completely, but I think there was an initial praise.
There are things I love about F1 and things I can't stand about F1. And honestly, Drive to Survive is one of the things I don't like about F1.
Yeah, me too. That's me too. I never even watched it.
Yeah, like I watched it, but I'm like,
I watched a couple episodes of a couple seasons, but I never watched
here's what I say. So I'll ask Jeff, since I have no knowledge of any kind of racing, F1, NASCAR, whatever. How much does a great driver make a difference if you got a shitty car?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
You cannot win if you don't have a good car.
Yeah. So to me,
especially F1,
I can't get into that. It's about the machine. It's not about the people.
Yeah, the drivers do matter. I mean, you can tell that when you give a great driver a great car, that's when you can really see how great the driver is. But to your point, John, I mean,
perfect example of this today, John. You just named it. Kyle Larson, NASCAR, like race for Chip Ganassi. Got let go because he used a stupid racial slur on the internet. But, that paved the way for him to sign with Hendrick. And now all of a sudden he has 30 wins in the last 4 years. And he's really, really good. But he always was really, really good. Everybody said he had this talent. It just wasn't on the super team. Or he wasn't on one of the top teams.
To me, it's like you're rooting for the cars. An inanimate object.
No, the pinnacle is if you have multiple great drivers with multiple great cars, and then you really see a battle. I mean, remember Abu Dhabi? What was that, 4 years ago, Jeff?
Oh yeah.
Verstappen versus Hamilton. That was. I mean,
and honestly, Zander, you're right.
Anybody could have watched that and been entertained.
That was the peak. That was the peak of F1.
Yeah, that was.
And everybody's like, "Oh, the points battle is stupid." I'm like, it's like this every year.
And then
guys.
I listened to the Mercedes fanboys cry. Is that you, Jeff? You must.
No, I am not a Mercedes fan.
Okay, a Lewis Hamilton Mercedes groupie.
First off, this is my opinion about Mercedes.
They stole it. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah. First off, Mercedes.
Getting everything on Birds 365. We're getting Mercedes hate.
The only reason they were any good is because they changed the regulations to favor them, and Lewis Hamilton jumped ship to go over there.
Yeah, well, that's like the NFL shutting down the Eagles, trying to shut down the Eagles.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Then they're going.
I'm exaggerating.
Yeah. Well, John would be interested. They did do a spending cap now in the cars. So now it's like a salary cap.
That's why Red Bull wasn't as good anymore.
Exactly. It's also why Mercedes isn't as good anymore. Mercedes, when they dominated 7 straight titles with whatever it was with
Hamilton and Rosberg.
Yeah, right. I mean, that was, let's be real. They had the best car by a country mile.
Yeah, and now, like you said, Xander, with the salary cap, that's limited Red Bull.
Right.
And McLaren's not paying Piastri what Verstappen's making.
I think Piastri might be better than Lando, but let's see.
I think he is better than Lando.
Yeah, me too. Jody Johnson. What's up, Jody? Like that name? Little Jody Mac nod right there. Terrell Owens is the reason I'm an Eagle fan, believe it or not, but John said nothing but facts. Wow, so Jody believes that John is correct.
I love that, though. Like, T.O. did bring in a new generation of Eagles fans. I love that.
I'm not saying – I'm not saying T.O. was a bad receiver. He was a great receiver. He was a Hall of Fame receiver.
He's one of the greatest receivers ever.
I think that's how good A.J. is. and he's
Yeah.
on that kind of trajectory. And he's more consistent. Obviously, he's a team captain. He's a better teammate. It's just better. Maybe not. Probably not quite as explosive as T.O. And I think people get enamored by the explosiveness.
I think T.O. was like, and AJ's like this too, but in a different way. Their box office, like you're waiting for them to have the big play.
Well, it's like, who's the best? Most people say Jerry Rice correctly is the best receiver of all time, but there's a few that say Randy Moss, who I got to cover. And he is, from an explosion standpoint, he's certainly the best receiver. But from a consistency standpoint, Jerry Rice is better.
Jerry Rice had 1,000 receiving yards at 40.
Yeah. Wow. And he shouldn't have been playing at 40, but to me, that's a volume thing. That's not why I put him up. But I say the same thing about Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders, better runner by far. Emmitt Smith, better running back. Because he could do everything. He could block.
The thing is, Barry probably would have been the all-time rushing leader, and it probably wouldn't have been touched if he would have kept playing.
Yeah.
Gave up.
Maybe the best runner ever. Runner.
Yeah.
So are we doing a disservice, by the way, that we use and utilize AJ Brown, or at least last year? I mean, we won the Super Bowl, so how can we complain?
I mean, you got to remember, he missed.
I'm just saying, though, you guys. And
listen,
I don't disagree with you, but we're talking about this guy like one of the great. He could be one of the most talented, greatest receivers of all time if he continues on the pace he's on, or on the trajectory he's on. And
but I think
we're a running team.
Yeah, I mean,
we're a running team. We got one of the best receivers in football.
But his legacy is kind of already set. He makes the All-Pro team every year.
Poor guy. Same thing happened in Tennessee. He's with Derrick Henry in Tennessee.
Yeah, Derrick Henry to Saquon Barkley to Jalen Hurts.
I mean, he makes All-Pro teams every year, and people are going to look back 20 years from now and say, "Hey, look, AJ Brown was really good on a really good football team." Yeah,
and look, Dominique is right. He says, Zander, the guy is yet to miss being an All-Pro. He's not wrong about that. But what would AJ Brown be doing in a passing offense? I don't know.
We already saw. I mean, he played 2 years without Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley. He had 1,496 yards and 1,450.
Yeah, and let's be real; those weren't the most prolific passing offenses, even those years.
No, not even close.
Yeah, not even close.
But I mean, 22. Like when he came here, he was just. Like, I always think of the meme where he's pointing at the Steelers players and he just decided to torch them.
That was like, that's AJ Brown season, man. That was a fun season because we had struggling wide receivers for so long. Then Devontae showed up. We went to the playoffs and weren't good enough, and then we got AJ, and he just lit the league on fire. That was a great season.
AJ was incredible. I mean, he's been incredible since he's been here.
Well, if you had, say Kirk Cousins with Jefferson, AJ would be up at 16, 17, 1,800 yards.
Yeah, if he played in a Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell offense, for the prolific numbers. But I think people know the Eagles are a well-balanced football team. They're not trailing a lot. And
they should know. They should know.
They should know, but they don't know.
Our listeners know because they listen to the Birds.
Oh, Jalen Hurts doesn't throw for 5,000 yards. I guess not. He's not trailing much.
Well, 5,000 is a different extreme. People will say 2,903 is the opposite end of that extreme.
My issue is when I'd rather have Joe Burrow. Fine. Okay, you'd rather have Joe Burrow. But Joe Burrow puts up this, and this. I guess he does. His team's always losing.
Well, Jeff, I'll throw this at you. And thanks for sticking around because we're keeping you a long time. But my most hated conversation, and Zander knows this, is the run-pass ratio.
Oh, yeah, it's annoying.
It just drives me insane. Like that people can't figure out what's the run-pass ratio going to be. Zander knows this because, Cilio will ask me, Deacon back in the day, whomever. Everybody asks me the same damn question. What's the run-pass ratio going to be this week? And I say the same goddamn thing every week. And I got to believe people are tired of hearing it, but they continually ask like it's going to change. What is the score in the fourth quarter? And I'll tell you what the run pass ratio is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, why can't people understand that?
I forget the game it was in 23 when people are chanting to Nick to run the ball. And my tweet went viral. I said, Eagles fans are chanting to run the ball. Do they know they're down 10? Oh, how dare you insult our
Well, the
intelligence?
funny,
I'm like, do you know you're down 10?
unless you're blind drunk. If anybody, if you're down 10 with 6 minutes left and you're running the football, they're going to boo the shit out of you too. If they're not drunk,
Yeah.
because they want to go win the game.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things that just make you bang your head against the wall. Like, why is this a discussion? Why?
I used to say all last year, the Eagles really need to throw the ball in the second half. They're usually winning by a lot.
Well, and that's the funny part. Every year you'll see some genius on X that come up with, boy, the teams that run the football the most are in the playoffs.
No,
and they figure
really?
out, like
Really?
they're the first person to figure that out. Look what I found. All
Really?
these teams made the playoffs.
When you're winning a football game, you run.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. Someone said to me last year, the Eagles wouldn't make the Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley, and I just responded, "Yeah, no shit." Like,
Fans walk into Birds 365 on Monday, and they walk out with freaking black eyes and headaches.
probably thinking we're all idiots. I don't care.
Oh man! It's
Hey,
funny.
as long as you guys like it and it's entertaining, I don't care.
Jeff, let's close it up on Jihad Campbell. Me and John talked a little bit about him in the open because John and Ed Kratz are doing their top 25 Eagles, and they do each make a 25, and then they combine the list.
Hey, John, did you put Tanner McKee on there yet? Because Dave Zagaro did.
I did not. Well, again, Dave's is most impactful. So different.
Oh, okay. That's how
like
Dave
I don't do most impactful. Dave does, and I love Dave.
Yeah, Dave's awesome.
Because to me it's not interesting because number one's always the quarterback. Like I brought up Tanner McKee when explaining my list. I'm like, if Jalen Hurts gets hurt, God forbid, Tanner McKee is the most important player on the Eagles, most impactful player on the Eagles. Yeah. So to me, it's not an interesting conversation. My definition is who does their job the best. That's how I rank the players. Who I think does their particular job description the best. That's to me the best pure football player. You probably already guess. I don't hide it.
I don't know. It could be tough with Lane Johnson, but I do know where you're going.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, to me, it's always the quarterback. Whether the quarterback is a superstar or he's the worst quarterback in the NFL, the starting quarterback is always the most impactful player on the field. So to me, that's not interesting. It's obvious.
Yeah, it's the most important position in professional sports. I know everybody hates.
Well, I would argue starting pitcher on a given day might be more important.
Yeah,
I'd argue goalie.
At least old baseball. Maybe not now when it's 5 innings and you've done
a cloud of
job.
dust. Yeah.
But back in the day,
7 8 innings you were getting.
Yeah. Sandy.
I'd argue goalie in hockey, man. Look at the Flyer. You don't get a goalie in hockey or the Philadelphia Flyers.
I couldn't watch the Stanley Cup this year because I was on it.
At least you can roll out a new starting pitcher the next game, or pull them and put in a new.
Well,
guy.
I said that's the thing. Starting
pitchers
on any particular day. Starting pitcher. Yeah. The old adage in baseball, the cliche is, momentum is only as good as tomorrow's starting pitcher. Whatever. Yeah, I mean that's it.
I'm going to cheer Eagles fans up right now, and I'm going to use the Flyers analogy because Ed Snyder tried to be the Jerry Jones of the NHL for 20 years, and the Flyers just kept buying and buying and buying old end talent and getting rid of good young talent.
How dare you impugn Mr. Snyder's legacy?
Oh, I'm going to impugn it. The Flyers suck and have sucked and will continue to suck. And it's going to happen to the Dallas Cowboys when Jerry Jones eventually is no longer their owner.
I bet you Flyers fans would want Ed Snyder, and I joke because I hated when people would call him Mr. Snyder.
Mr. Snyder. Yeah, come on.
I called him Ed, and people looked at me like I had 3 heads.
My dad was a senior in high school when the Flyers last won anything, a championship. So there you go. It's been a while.
Yeah.
50 years.
Any more fan trauma stories that you guys want to dump out on?
Last week you called us curmudgeons, and now we're enjoying ourselves. And just shitting on us about that.
But look at the way you guys are enjoying yourselves. You're enjoying yourselves by absolutely shredding the fans of this show. It's pretty funny,
when I was talking about the run pass ratio, I wasn't even talking about fans. I'm talking about other media.
Other media people. We were ripping on them.
Yeah. I mean, you will find a media person that thinks he found the, basically the meaning of life. Look, all the playoff teams ran the football more than the teams that passed the football. Wow. How did that happen?
Zander, I have a new goal for you as a content creator.
All right, let's hear it.
You have to find a way to be like some of these content creators that I have no idea what they do in sports media. At least I know what you do. And they're at all these events and they're sitting behind home plate and they're doing this and they're doing that. And I'm like, what do you do? I'm curious. Like,
probably make content, brother. Content has become a massive industry.
Content?
It's always been a big industry.
Zander Krause can sit behind the plate and make content. I'd rather watch that.
Well, maybe I got to do something different, Jeff. You let me know.
What you got to do? You got to film yourself.
Collab on it.
You got to film yourself every second of the day. That's what you got to do.
Well, that is a way to do it for sure.
I mean, I think this is great content. It's
5 years running, Jeff.
Hey, I think a lot of people. I take pride. A lot of people copied this show. I'm sorry, but they did.
No, they did. They did.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And now there's 75 Eagles daily shows. But
how many Eagles daily shows can you watch?
I don't know. I'm glad the people that watch this one, but yeah, it's depressing sometimes.
We do it with Phillies Weekly. Everybody goes, "Oh my God, it's so great to have a once a week show where it's just you guys are actually talking about baseball, what's going on." Like, well, yeah, that's usually what happens when you have actual baseball people who are in the clubhouse talking to people.
That's I think you brought somebody up yesterday. I don't even know who it was. I'm like I think a lot of people don't realize that those guys are not at the NovaCare complex. Am I wrong with that?
I think that's the case. I think people don't know that they're not there.
I don't know. But like a bunch of these people are not there. I don't know if people know that or don't know that.
Yeah.
Because they act like they're there.
Yeah, a lot of them do. John and I have a blast at that training camp.
What's going to be your schedule at training camp, Jeff? I would imagine you're going to be all over the map.
It's going to be nuts. The Phillies play the Red Sox the first week. And I'm going to be like, John knows I did. John knows I did this last year, though, when the Phillies played the Yankees. It was like I was going to training camp, writing stories there, and I literally walked right across it. I would change in like the media locker room so I could put on long pants and go to
the media locker.
Whatever we call it. The media bathroom.
The media house.
Yeah,
it's like a frat house.
I think a frat house is nicer.
It is. Yeah. They don't spend a lot of time cleaning for us.
I mean, Phillies would even joke with me, like, what, you're going to change in here today? I'm like, just put on long pants. Like, no one's in here. Like,
all right, Jeff, any final thoughts on this show? This has been one for the ages today.
What for the ages? This is peak off-season content, boys.
Yeah,
it is.
You got some Eagles, you got some Phillies, you got some NBA finals.
Don't forget Sam Hinkie. I mean, you got Sam Hinkie.
F1.
We're getting NASCAR. We're getting it all, boys.
We did. We are getting it all.
We even showed the Flyers.
Yep, manifesto talk.
Yeah, I want to read John McMullen's manifesto. I wonder what it would say.
Talk.
I think John would have a 2-word manifesto.
I'm not insane, so I don't have a manifesto.
Wait, Jeff, what would it be? Stop it.
No, better than that. Think a little simpler than.
Stop it. If it's not stop
it. Two words and one starts with F.
Fuck you.
Yes.
No, stop it's a good one.
Stop it would be a good one. Yeah.
Stop it would be the Kerr, would be the McMullen. All right, Jeff, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you for giving us the extended time. As always, great job covering the Phils. You head in. Where are they next? Are they home next?
No, they'll be in Houston, and then they'll be in Atlanta. Then they come back. So pretty much none of the minor league teams are here this week. I'm kind of baseball free this week. It's gonna be nice.
Nice.
Wow.
There you go. All right.
All right.
Baseball free. Yeah.
Yeah,
Appreciate you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man. Finish up. You can finish up.
Oh no, then I got the homestand, then 2 weeks off, and then training camp.
There you go, brother. Yeah, it's all happening quick. Season's coming quick. Jeff, we appreciate you, brother. We love you here on Birds 365. All the great fans, even if you take a shit on them every day, they love
you can.
too.
I don't care.
Whether they admit it or not, they love Jeff Kerr. Jeff, we love you, brother. We appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you next week.
I think love's a very strong word there, Xander.
Taking some
love's a
heat
strong
off
word.
me,
I don't
so
use
I
it.
love it. Yeah.
All right, brother. We appreciate it. Thank you,
See you
Jeff.
guys.
See you,
Yeah,
bud.
man. There's Jeff Kerr joining us here on Birds 365. Great stuff there from Jeff Kerr. Great topics, John. Like you said, we hit it all today on Birds 365, brother.
Yeah, man. What didn't we get to?
I don't know what we didn't get to. I'm even
Some
debating
wrestling,
people
big
about goalies in
wrestling.
the chat.
There we go. I meant to get some wrestling in because there is a big Night of Champions PLE event set for Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, which that might be problematic considering what's going on in the Middle East. So that's going to be interesting. But there's also big boxing. It's called Riyadh season. Saudi Arabia keeps paying this big money to get sporting events. And I don't know how comfortable people are going to be going there.
I don't know either. And let me tell you, they got so much money that people can't say no. So it's happening, whether people like it or not.
It's going to be interesting. So it's Friday and Saturday, I think. It's going to be interesting if they have to move it.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up. Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with that. Johnny Mac, John, your final thoughts on this show? I thought we started it off pretty good with the top 25, so we'll get your 23rd player. That article should release today on Sports Illustrated. We'll do that.
I meant to tell Jeff he's probably going to be excited by number 23. That's a hint.
That's a hint. I'm going to have to think about that. The other thing I want to talk about this week is a little Antoine Powell-Ryland. So we'll talk a little bit about
we didn't get to him.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about him today, but we didn't get to him. So we'll talk about him maybe tomorrow in the Open or once we do that 23rd player, and we'll hit on a little APR. We'll talk about him. Johnny Mac, your final thoughts here on this Monday edition of Birds 365.
Started out, I'll end it. Stay cool, everybody. Locally, I know there's a lot of people listening all over the world, really, but locally it's really, really hot. So everybody stay cool and make sure you take care of those pets. I'm a big dog guy, obviously.
Yep, there you go. John, 73 days till September 4th, 29 days till July 22nd, and then they're on the field July 23rd, so 30 days until then. It's happening quick, my friend. I appreciate you doing it today, Johnny Mac. We'll catch up with you tomorrow on a Tuesday edition of Birds 365.
All right, thanks all.
All right, thanks, Johnny Mac. There's J Mac here on Birds 365. Great show today, everybody. Great stuff with Jeff Kerr. Great stuff with Johnny Mac.